Good morning, MES. It's always a pleasure to talk to young and enthusiastic minds. Let me first take a moment to thank you, MES, for this opportunity, and a special mention to Anup, who made this happen. I intend to give some takeaways for all of you who is attending this webinar. First and foremost, I'll give a tip for everybody to start making money right away, and some ideas for your projects or seminars or internship, list of technologies that are relevant for you in the coming years, and possibly some inspiration for some ideas for starting up something on your own. Okay. Just to make this conversation interesting, I'll start with a story. So my story is about Appu's Bangalore days. Like most other engineers, Appu also joined a leading IT firm in Bangalore after completing his engineering. But unfortunately, he didn't like the Bangalore life so much because of high cost of living, hotel food, phone restrictions in secured ODC, ties, formal dress, traffic jam, pollution. He was literally feeling homesick. The only joy in his life was the draft beer that he got in pubs. But otherwise, life was boring. His friends were not with him. As it went on, then came March 2020. There he comes. The antagonist makes his nasty entry. COVID came and shattered the world. Hapu's office got shut. He was given a laptop and asked to work from home. So that's actually, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Appu. He could catch a bus just in time before the lockdown. He went back home, set up a mini office at his house, happily started working from his hometown. The only concern he had was the net connectivity issues that cropped up once a while. So he decided to go for a high-speed optic fiber connection. While he's getting this new connection, let's take a short pause on the story and talk about a big shift in IT industry at an accelerated pace, which is happening now, given the context of remote working or virtual working. So all the industries, particularly IT, is switching heavily to work from anywhere model. You can pretty much work from anywhere, be it a resort, a farmhouse, while on a tour, in transit, doesn't matter. As long as you have a connected device, necessary time to work, that's good enough in this new trend. Just associated with this remote working, I also want to bring to you another fundamental new concept called crowdsourcing or gig work or passion economy. At Wipro, we call it future of work. I am handling a portfolio within Wipro Digital. I am championing the future of work initiatives for Wipro Digital practice. So predominantly future of work means crowdsourcing, gig work, passion economy. How we can leverage the global freelancing community who is passionate in a crowdsourcing model. So that's a fundamental concept of future of work. So organizations actually don't have to employ everybody just to get their work done. Be it the big corporates like Apple or Microsoft, or even the IT service providers like Wipro and Infosys. We don't have to really keep everybody employed to get our work done. That's a fundamental premise of this. They can leverage the community of freelancers across the globe. By the way, gig is a slang that was used for short live music performances in small venues and typically with small audiences. So gig work also refers to the small chunks of work done through freelancing or crowdsourcing model. You are actually already familiar with this model. You have seen this in Uber, Ola, Zomato, Danso kind of apps. They also use this model pretty much the same way. Look at Uber, for example. If you request for a ride, and the system automatically chooses the best driver nearby who has a good rating and pass this request to them. He comes and picks up and drops us where we want to go. So more or less in the similar fashion, even IT development, design, testing, all that is also being leveraged in that similar gig work, crowdsourcing model or gig economy model. So this is the advantage is this is truly an outcome-based model. The speed, quality, scale, flexibility, and global reach at very reasonable cost. And you are just paying for what you're getting. So that's the crux of this model. That is why corporates are increasingly adopting this crowdsourcing or community sourcing, freelancing models as we see. And it's really picking up because I am handling the practice. I can see the trend It is really, really taking speed. And COVID has come and accelerated it to a great extent. Okay, so going forward, the message for you is companies, big companies will switch a lot of their attention from full-time employment to this freelancing, which is good for many of you who would like to be freelancers, who wants to have that flexibility and also believe in pure meritocracy and performance-driven recognition. Now it's time for a goodie for you. Go to topcoder.com portal, register yourself. By the way, Topcoder is owned by Wipro. It's a crowdsourcing platform. Anybody 14 plus can go and register there. Customers would have put up work elements or challenges. Pick up the ones that are most matching your skills and experience. Nominate for those. So it's good money. And you can do it after your college. Don't mess up with your studies or exams. It usually offers design challenges, testing challenges, programming challenges, some data science, mobility testing, app testing, mobile apps testing. So many kinds of challenges are posted in this. So you go ahead and register here. You will get to know once. If you have any doubts, you may reach out through Anup to me. I'll help you guys out. But please do register and start making money. Okay. Oh, by the way, let's get back to Apu. What has happened to him? So he is back, as I said, he's back at his hometown, comfortably working his new fiber optic, giving good speeds, all well. Nice coffee made by mom, nice nature, enjoying everything. But just one thing which happened to him. He has actually a rubber plantation just a little away from his house and a small farmhouse. There used to be workers who had taken care of his farm, but unfortunately because of COVID, all of them went back to their native places, right? When the trains opened up, they all went. So nobody to take care of his farm. So he's in trouble. His mom is pestering what to do. He figured out that he can make his farm self-reliant by giving life to my farm. How did he do? He has got a lot of sensors, automatic tapping blades, and he has set up connectivity. He has put AI modules into it, and he has connected it with automatic pump stations and manual dispensers. So by doing all this and setting up the right things, what he has done is he literally changed the farm to a living farm. I mean, it has intelligence, it has sense organs, it can take decisions on its own using their AI algorithms. So it can figure out when it needs water, when it needs manure, when I should do the tapping, where I should make the cut, the groove cut for the tapping, and how deep I should be cutting. It learns from the data across all trees. Of course, every tree has a sensor. So this is just one example of smart farm. The industry is moving heavily into smart ecosystems. It could be smart plants, smart hospitals, smart crews, smart hotel, smart kitchen, smart home. So the concept is an integrated ecosystem, which by itself, it's an autonomous integrated ecosystem, which has smart devices, communicating devices, intelligent devices who do their job effectively and communicating to each other in an integrated fashion. The entire ecosystem works on its own. So this is a big move in the industry as we speak. Okay, so Apu is now, again, he has set up this farm and so he's happy. So he has used technologies like IoT, machine learning, AI, 5G, all that he has implemented in his farm, and he is peaceful now. Now, I forgot about two characters, Aju and Divya. They are Apu's best friends from childhood, okay? Aju is a professional bike racer and Divya, she's an interior architect. Aju dropped out from college. He is fully into tweaking cars and bikes for performance, and he loves zooming at crazy speeds on this bike and car, okay? Aju and Divya had gone to Austin, US to watch a Red Bull Grand Prix. And unfortunately, of course, they didn't go to participate in that. It is a world championship for bike. While they went few days back, before the event itself and much before the COVID lockdown scenario. And as usual, Aju took a rental car and started zooming along with Divya on a freeway 130, and unfortunately they met with an accident, right? So uh, uh, the car was damaged a bit, but these guys were not hurt so much. Some impact was there. They were in hospital for a few days, but they could catch the first Vande Bharat flight and they could come back to Kerala. So of course, Appu went and picked them up and came straight to the farmhouse because anyway they had to be quarantined. So he decided to put them up in the farmhouse. So in that night, they were narrating the story of the accident and how excited they were witnessing the kind of technology adoption in US and how that helped them overcome the accident with minimum hassles. Okay. Of course, the car was under comprehensive insurance cover, and the insurance company had installed something called smart drones in the car. I think 4 such drones were there in the car within the concealed safe boxes at different places of the car. So when this accident happened, one of the drones popped up immediately and started streaming live video of the car and the passengers real time to the insurance help desk. And they in turn video conferenced copter recovery team and hospital nearby and an emergency doctor within the hospital, just all in the matter of few minutes. So the drone was conversing with them and also, letting that recovery team and doctor converse with them to keep them calm and also give instructions like, switch off engines, don't try out any adventure getting out of the car now until we come there, because anyway recovery is on, they're flying in with a copter. A drone also kept sounding the alarms because it is in a freeway, right? So there is fast moving traffic coming their way. So it kept sounding alarms and flashing red lights to alert the upcoming freeway traffic from distance. Within 10 minutes or so, the rescue team flew in and airlifted them to the nearest hospital that they were conferencing with. And seems the drone continued to fly around there till the car was towed away by the towing agency based on instruction from the insurance company to the nearest garage. So, yeah, so while it may appear a little fictional or futuristic, yes, I of course animated the story a little bit to make it more appealing. But indeed, these kind of things are happening in reality. There are drones that can fly into the accident spot, do inspection, do streaming, and so on, and even have conversation with the people inside, passengers inside the car. So these are all reality. So this experience has opened up a world of possibilities for Aju and team. So even Appu got so excited, this kind of things, we can do it in India also. So they went about hunting for ideas. In fact, they came to me as well. I know Appu, so they came to me as well for my inputs. I have given some interesting industry use cases and some new ideas that came up in my mind. But I'll share with you also today. But before that, I just wanted to quickly take a few minutes and recap and highlight the key technology elements that played in the background through the story that I was narrating. Okay. We will not get into super details into these technologies, but I'll just give a very brief on what these technologies are and why it is so relevant, how it is playing a big role in the way industry is moving forward. IoT plus AI, right? Internet of Things, and I don't call it artificial intelligence. I like to call it as augmented intelligence, because AI has to do tasks that humans don't want to do or can't do at that scale and speed. It is not going to replace humans. It is not meant to replace or compete with humans. That's why I don't think we should discriminate it by calling artificial intelligence. It sounds like not so great intelligence, right? So I would call it as intelligence, augmented intelligence that helps human beings, not just human beings. As I was describing earlier, we can even augment things. By the way, what is Internet of Things? Internet of Things is, to me, my definition of Internet of Things with AI is giving life to things. It could be giving life to plants. It could be giving life to devices in your home, or giving life to your car. There are cases where you can give life to an enterprise itself. I'll come to that a little later. like logo, we have logos for companies, right? Say Walmart or Amazon. Now they all have logos. Wipro has logo. So imagine giving a face also to these companies. So to a face and a persona that you can converse with. Imagine you talking to Amazon. Amazon, a persona, if they create, assume like a logo, if they create a persona for Amazon, you can literally talk to Amazon, pick up your phone, talk to them, WhatsApp them, and ask for what you want. You don't have to really go to the app and order things. You can just speak to Amazon, whatever persona that they are publishing in public domain. You can just speak to them. So, by what I mean is, you can literally give life to anything with this technologies like IoT, AI, and of course with 5G. 5G is expected to be 10 times faster than 4G. I think 25 billion devices will need to be in a mobile network coverage by 2024. So with this combination of IoT, AI, 5G, and of course cloud, quantum, cloud and quantum gives a scale that these apps and huge ecosystems will need. I don't think I need to explain what is cloud and quantum. You can always browse and figure out. So these are different paradigms or new paradigms of ecosystems or platforms and architectures that can support much faster, much bigger scale applications and ecosystems than what we have seen earlier. So okay, I missed this AR VR concept. Some people are not very clear on what the difference between AR and VR. I just wanted to make it clear. Virtual reality, VR, takes you to a completely different perspective or a different view, whereas augmented reality augments your current view. You know, you will continue to see your surroundings, but augmented by animations, sounds, and text within your view. So virtual reality, in in a different way, takes you completely into a different world altogether. So virtual reality can be used for virtual tours or things like that. Augmented reality can be used in cases where suppose a doctor is doing a surgery. So there he can use augmented reality, where he can wear the device and he will get to see the patient. He'll get to see what he's doing, but at the same time he will be given guidance and instructions, animated text, voice, and so on, in his view, augmented, to make sure that he is doing the right things. A blockchain is another system that is bringing in the transparency and accountability, end-to-end traceability and transparency to transactions which involve multi-layer, multi-level transactions, just like supply chain, ledger transactions, trade transactions, GSTs, insurance transactions, so on and so forth. The advantage is it offers an irrevocable, transparent, non-tamperable, foolproof data system, so that nobody can tamper with it compared to traditional conventional systems. So all these technologies are changing the world, right? You have seen these technologies play out in the Apu's story that I've narrated earlier also. In fact, if you see drones, you've seen AI, you have seen augmented reality, the drones. Actually, the drones can project a 3D picture to the doctor or even the rescue team. So they'll get a feel of, by the way, hologram is also another thing that projects big, large 3D images just in front of you. It is a kind of augmented reality, a subset of augmented reality, but it is useful at times where you need to walk around. You literally will feel that the object is in place in front of you. So imagine in the accident scenario, the doctors or the rescue team can literally see, because the drone is flying around and streaming the holograms to these guys, not just a video image. So they can literally feel as if they're standing next to the accident site and they're seeing them live. So I hope you got a feel of what technology can mean to our lives and to the world in the coming years. Let me also give I committed to you that I will give you some ideas, which I gave to Apu also. Some interesting use cases, industry use cases using these technologies. I won't go into details, but I'll just briefly touch upon some good use cases, so that you get some feelers on what's happening in the industry and what kind of ideas. You may get some new ideas for your startups or your projects. That'll be good. So let's go one by one. I talked about smart ecosystems. When I meant smart ecosystem, they are autonomous, self-learning, self-adapting, integrated ecosystems. Examples are smart cities, smart plants, smart airports, smart homes, smart hotels, smart kitchens, and smart food makers. In fact, one of the idea, Apu, Aju, and Divya, I was discussing with them because Divya has some interest in cooking. We were discussing about creating a smart cooker where you just fill in all the ingredients, standard ingredients, and you feed in the standard menu recipes for some 500 items using those ingredients. So daily morning, you just call out, say, Mr. Cooker, give me noodles, or Mr. Cooker, give me fried rice, whatever, pizza. It's quite possible, actually. I don't know whether it is already existing to some extent. Some chapati makers, dosa makers exist, I know, but a completely flexible, adaptable, intelligent, conversable cooker, whether it is there or not, I'm not sure. But it is just matter of time. 5 years from now, we will have those kind of cookers in our kitchens. So we just have to call out, and they will do the job for us, and will give whatever food that you guys want. Okay. Similarly, if you see smart cities, I know Anup and team has done some smart signal program where it is a miniature of an overall smart city concept. So just think the entire city is a smart city where complete ecosystem is integrated and controlled by an AI engine. The signals, the traffic control system, the announcement systems, cameras, road works, which happens, maintenance work, bus schedules, everything. You pretty much can hook on anything and everything that you can think in a city which moves or which happens in a city in a live on a day. You can pretty much put everything onto this smart ecosystem so that it's completely controlled and driven with the best efficiency. Okay. So similarly, imagine a smart plant where the devices talk to each other. You know, if somebody is in production engineering or manufacturing engineering, you will understand how tough it is to do the manufacturing production layout to get the best output of a plant. Also, just supply chain management is another big hurdle. You just have so many variables playing around in this kind of large ecosystems. It's so tough for manually configuring, even if you use ERP systems like SAP or Oracles of the world, you will still end up with suboptimal results. But imagine handing over the whole mechanics to an AI system which self-learns, self-governs, and orchestrates the devices or the components within this ecosystem, communicates to each other without lag. Similarly, another example I can think of is smart home. To some extent, you have seen Google Minis of the world or Alexas of the world. You can pretty much, whichever smart devices that you have, you can control them. Going forward, you don't even have to talk. If you think, it will capture your thoughts and do it for you. So things are growing at that speed in this area. Another thing is conversational AI, virtual assistants, smart assistants, human augmentation. So this I said earlier also, we should use these technologies to make our life easier, make our life better. We should use them to augment our capabilities and to compete with us or trying to overlap with us. We should augment them. This kind of technology can be very useful for people with disabilities or who are differently able. Imagine if a blind person has to walk in a campus, suppose in a plant or in a resort, if he has to just walk around, or within his house if he has to walk around freely. If there was a device, a conversational device that he or she can leverage, which is hooked onto his like headset, continuously feeds him with information, because that device can see using its cameras, and it can continuously keep feeding information to them to make their life easy. Of course, it can use the geopositioning system, GPS. It has a camera. It can sense. It can detect face, figures out who is coming. So pretty much possibility is so much. You can design your own virtual assistants that travel along with you, either on a smartphone or on a wearable or on your headset or on your Google, your specs, doesn't matter. You can fit that virtual assistant wherever that you want to carry along, and help you with constantly guiding you, helping you answer your queries, do things for you, fetch data from internet, communicate to somebody else, project images that you want. So these are all extremely compatible augmenting technologies that you have at play, which you can leverage on. Another thing is smart desks, smart help desks and bots. I don't know how many of you tried calling Airtel these days. I'm not just discriminating Airtel, but in fact, I sent a feedback to them to quickly switch over to a smart help desk. So many numbers you have to dial to get to talk to a person. It keeps you into different menus. Press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 11 for what. And then if you press something, next menu will again have another 10 numbers to press. I don't think we should have such things going forward. In fact, my previous assignment before taking over this future of work role, I was handling a practice for conversational AI within Wipro Digital. We had a venture partner called Avamo. You can browse and see. Avamo is again a conversational AI platform. So we have built so many conversational help desks, smart help desks, wherein you can just take a phone, dial a number or WhatsApp. Like I was saying for Amazon or any corporate, you can just speak to the corporate persona in the way you want. I can say I have a problem with my connectivity, it's going off once in a while, or my second floor range is less, or my balance, there is a problem with my balance. So I don't have to hop this multiple help desk menu to get my things done. I can simply make a call and speak to that person like a human being, speak to the bot like a human being, and get the resolution done. And most of these bots are sophisticated now. It doesn't even have to transfer the call to a human being. It can by itself knows whether I should run a batch, or should I I should give a grant and access, or should I delete some entry, should I restart a server. All that can be done by bot automatically. So literally without a human intervention, many of these things can be done, which I explained in the smart help desk concept. Another wonderful thing is do it yourself model. Like I explained, if a doctor can do a surgery with augmented assistance through animation so that he doesn't make a mistake, and somebody else is also watching what he is doing. Another thing is smart monitoring. There's a lot of such things happening in telemedicine, where IoT devices and wearables help monitor people's health, right? Especially old age people who can't often travel to hospital for every single thing. So these guys, companies like Philips and all have set up this ecosystem where patients and they're tied up with the insurance companies also. So they at their home or their room where they're they are being taken care of. These devices, sensors and cameras are kept. Of course, not intruding to their privacy. They can choose what to switch it on and what not to switch on. But there are possibilities of monitoring devices on a real-time basis, diabetes, BB, all this BP, all these things can be streamed to a physician or an insurance agency so that they can take the right interventions without wasting time quickly. In fact, they can even on their wearables, they can start conversing with the doctor as and when they need, or they will dial and say, it seems your heart rate is dropping, do this, take that medicine, and so on and so forth. Similarly, I just wanted to tell you some other possibilities on this machine learning pattern matching, right? Now, if you know somebody who has diabetes, people with diabetes in your homes, it's so difficult to prick every time. First of all, you need to buy the device for blood sugar monitor. You need to prick your fingers, take blood and check that's spectrometer, what they use, and give the reading, right? Why can't we have a diabetes monitor? Why can't from the blood color spectrum, using a spectrometer or blood color or a small infrared device that can be fixed onto your fingers without pricking, why can't it constantly check for your diabetes sugar levels? It can be done, very much it can be done with the machine learning pattern matching logic. Similarly, BP. And in fact, I had an idea, which I did not do yet, but if any of you want to do, you can try out. Ayurveda, whoever, if you guys believe in Ayurveda, there is something called Nadi Chikitsa, right? Nadi interpretation. So why don't we design a wearable which can take that pulses. What I think they use 3 points, 3-point pulse readings to interpret how's your health and all parameters. So you can have a device that fits into your, it's like a band which ties into your wrist, and then it can start reading your health, even proactively predict what's going to happen. All these will be cool things to do. There are, of course, connected vehicles, telematics, driverless cars, drones. Drones are delivering packets to people at their homes. And from an IT perspective, also, there are things like self-healing code, which can find and fix bugs by itself. Anyway, I don't want to deep dive into this. I just wanted to give a feel of what kind of things are happening in the world, which you all can explore, right? So, millions of opportunities waiting for you, folks. Your imagination will be the limit, nothing else. Go and explore, pick the best for you. Of course, you need to scale yourself up. Not just inspiration won't help. You need to take online courses and certifications. There are a lot of academies like Coursera, Udemy, edX. Go read, learn, try out. Even companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Adobe, Apple, they all provide free platforms for students to try out and design coding, AI, ML, data science kind of experiments. Just go explore. It is not just good enough to study the syllabus that you guys are learning in your colleges, but also explore beyond what's happening in the industry. What are the opportunities that I can upskill myself? By the time you come out of your engineering, you should be production ready or billable ready. Okay, so that's all from me. Wishing you all great times ahead and best wishes.